Every morning I do psalming, which is basically singing the Psalms out loud. And I just feel like it's a way that I connect with God on many levels. But one thing that happens sometimes is I get inspiration to build something out of what I sing that morning. But I had been in Psalm 119. When I got to around the 80th verse, that's when things started really standing out to me. Psalm 119:81 says, I'm lovesick with yearnings for more of your salvation, for my heart is entwined with your word. And then Psalm 119:89, standing firm in the heavens and fastened to eternity is the word of God. 119:96, I've learned that there is nothing perfect in this imperfect world except for your words, for they bring such fantastic freedom into my life. And really the word that stood out to me out of all of that was the word fastened. It was in my head, it was in my heart, I couldn't let it go. Sort of had an idea for a chorus, and really got basically stuck after a certain point. And so that was, I think, March when I laid it down. For me, heaven came closer than it ever did last July 20th. A dear friend of my son's is Grant Solomon.
Grant was a light, first and foremost. He was a very, to look at, he was a very strong, very athletic, 6'4", 210, big athletic guy who was also very scholarly in his academics, but he was mostly, he had a heart for the Lord. And that is what shined out of all of those things, that shined more brightly than anything. You know, that morning was unlike any other morning as it started. His love was pitching and baseball, and he was just going to tweak some of his skills that morning with a higher level, pitching community. And he stood in the door and he said, I love you so much, Mom. You're the best mom ever. Big smile. And that's the last moment I saw Grant alive. I made it to the hospital, which was an hour away. And when I got there, he was no longer living. The thing I remember the most, though, is being in the room with him and being able to feel the Lord in that room. And that piece has sustained me through that week. I felt closer to Grant when we worshiped. And so we worshiped at our home every night with all of his friends. And we prayed and we hugged and we embraced. And it filled our home with love. And that helped Krissy and I. Looking back, that's a direct attribute from Grant, that these friends loved so well and Grant loved them so well that they extended his arms to us. And, you know, Grant has always still been near because of our faith that we have in God and that we'll see him again.
Sometimes moments like that, where you can run towards him or you can run away from him, but to see all of these kids gathering together, running towards him, man, it was moving, especially that worship night. Angie, hearing you sing, hearing your cries that night, I knew it was all coming from a place of worship, and just the depth of faith that I hear coming out of your heart despite the pain, that really moved me. And you know, sometimes as a songwriter, you're kind of translating what you hear, and I felt like the Lord was saying, pick up fast, and now's the time. I sang that song at a writer's round the first time ever singing it out. Eric videoed it, he shared it, and I was a little bit like, oh no, like I don't know if this is right. Like we didn't talk about this. I wasn't sure. Anyways, he tagged you in it.
My heart is fastened to heaven. This imperfect world will fade, but I'm able to the rock of ages. My heart is fastened.
It was the night before your birthday.
I was so down that Grant wouldn't be here. And so that night I was scrolling through Facebook with tears, just really longing for Grant's presence here. And then I stumbled literally on Eric's post. And I was tagged, and I was just like, what is this? I was immediately blown away, but also immediately recentered. It was if I was listening to me singing to myself.
Yeah.
And I can see this song lifting so many people from despair or grief, or applying to so many other situations in life. I just feel so much coming from this song, and I feel so much healing. I am praying that for those who don't know God, or for those that do, that this brings everyone closer to a sense of being fastened to Him. As I spoke over Grant in the hospital, God gives us plans to prosper, not to harm us. And I sang, how beautiful heaven must be. And I mean that. I mean that. And I want this song, I just want everyone to feel that power, that we mean that. We mean that. Yes, we're homesick, but my heart is fastened to heaven.
Truth that I can rest in is your word, the only hope that brings me comfort. Your promise, the only strength that gives me refuge, is your name, is your name. My heart is fastened to heaven. This imperfect world will fade, but I'm anchored to the rock of ages. My heart is fastened to heaven. This imperfect world will fade, but I'm anchored to the rock of ages. Peace that can sustain me is your voice, the only grace that I can lean on. Your goodness, the only power that can save me, is your love, is your love. 'Cause my heart is fastened to heaven. This imperfect world will fade, but I'm anchored to the rock of ages. Oh, my heart is fastened to heaven. This imperfect world will fade, but I'm anchored to the rock. I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock of ages. You have all my trust, despite my understanding, and I'll never lose faith, despite my earthy feelings. You have all my trust, yes you do, despite my understanding. Oh, and I'll never lose faith, no I won't, God, despite my earthly feelings. I just get homesick, I just get homesick, 'cause my heart is fastened to heaven. This imperfect world will fade, but I'm anchored to the rock of ages. Oh, my heart is fastened to heaven. This imperfect world will fade, but I'm anchored to the rock. I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock.
I'm anchored to the rock. Oh, I'm anchored to the rock. I'm anchored to the rock. I'm anchored to the rock. I'm anchored to the rock of ages.